Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. So today we're going to be working on window guide bushings on my Foxbody. So my window, let's see if you guys can see this, when it rolls up, it flops around a lot. And you can see right there, that piece moving. So those are the window guides, right? So that's what the window rides on when it goes up and down. And they get worn over time. My car's an 86, right? So it's worn down here at the bottom, and then it's worn here at this one. So the window tilts back and forth, and then it gets caught in the window track. So the last video, I went over replacing the door handle, and I had to take my door panel off. So if you guys are not familiar with how to take the door panel off, take a look here. It's pretty easy. There's a couple of screws that hold your armrest pad in, and then there's a couple of screws that'll hold some stuff like this in for the 79 to 86 guys, your little trim around the door handle, some of the other stuff. Make sure you get all that stuff out of the way, pull your door panel off, and then start on this. Alright, so the first thing that you have to do is get this rod loose. So there's a plate on top and a plate on the bottom. And that plate is what holds the window to the guide. So we have to get that rod loose, and there's a bolt right here, you can see that one. And then down here on the bottom that holds, that one right there. So that holds the bottom of the rod, and that one holds the top. So what I'm going to suggest to you guys is to make a mark where your bolt is. Otherwise, you're not going to get your rod lined back up right, and it's kind of a pain to align that. So what I would suggest is to give yourself a mark so that you know where it came off of, and you can get it really close. So we're going to mark around this one, and we're also going to mark around the bottom one. I would make sure you get the dirt grime off there before you mark. There we go. So we got marks around both our bolts. We know where they are. So we can at least, when we get our guides replaced, we can put them back and get close. So first things first, you're gonna remove those or loosen them. You can see how that rod slides, right, back and forth a little bit. So that bolt gets the top of it loose. And then on the one on the bottom, gets the bottom of that loose. The one on the bottom is probably going to be rusted, so just be careful. If you need to, put some penetrating lube. My car doesn't see the road pretty much ever because I'm always working on it, and I never get to take it out. So I don't really have to worry about that kind of stuff. It's kind of a sad problem to have, really. Wish I got it out to drive it more, but it's always something I'm working on. My project right now is this, but also, if you can see my interior, so I've got S197 seats in the front, see that in the back? So I'm working on getting the S197 seats in the back done. That's my current project. That's why I'm not driving it much as is. My kids really want to ride in this thing, so I'm trying to give them a comfortable seat to ride in. Back on task. So we've got that top bolt loose, right? We've got the bottom one loose. You can see their window guides pretty floppy in there, right? So the next thing I would recommend is getting these bolts loose. Man, I don't know who's in here before, but some jerk greased this up oh, that was me. So a while back I had to grease all this stuff up just to get it so my windows would go up and down from these guides being bad. There we go. All right, so you got 2 bolts on each plate. Probably should mark these ones as well, because these ones are what hold the plates on for the window to go front and back on the top and bottom, so it adjusts the pitch of the window. You see that? So you can have your window tilt. I don't know if you can see that at all, but the window can actually tilt in there. So I'll have to make sure that I get it back on where it was before. So each of these plates, you can see that one that's about to fall off, is what houses the guide. So that right there, you can see, I mean, that guide is just awful. It's floppy, it's, yeah, not good. Yeah, so my motor's locked. It's gonna hold that in place, which is nice. So get the other two bolts off. So I ended up having to pop this top trim piece off. I don't know if you can see that or not. This guy here, so I popped that loose. That way I could push the window back farther and get this rod out. Now that I've got that out, there we go. So there's your actual guide here. And then the bushing is actually in this plate. So I would make sure that you keep your plates lined up so you know which one's top and which one's bottom, all that jazz. Now to get the bottom one off, I've got to roll my window back up. All right, window going back up. Let's get the other guide. There we go. There's the guide. Oh, sorry, I didn't have it in front of the camera. So you can see right here where they get worn. All right, now I got to find my guide bushings, and then get this bushings in, or get the bushings in, grease it up, and put it all back together. All right, I couldn't find my other bushings that I ordered, so I had to order another set. So these, you can see that or not, there you go. These are the bushings that I got. They were like $5 for 2 of them, and you had to get 4 if you want to do both sides. So got 4. See what they look like here. So that's the new bushing. Pretty simple, nothing too fancy. See that better in the light there. So we're gonna start on. So we've got our window guide here. We're just gonna take this guy off. And you'll have to clean this up as well before you get done. All this grease that's on here is all old and nasty, so we'll clean it all up and we'll get some new grease on there and get it going. So we've got this guy here. I'm gonna give it a good clean up. And on these bushings, you just pop it out from the back side, just like that. See if I can give you a comparison on these old ones. There you go. That is the old one and the new one. Old one right here, new one right here. So it's probably not going to show up on the camera very well, but right here is where it wears. And if you can see, there's a groove in there, and then the same thing up top. So they wear these little grooves in it from riding on that rod, and that's what gives it the play back and forth. So you'll take your bracket, the clip will go this way. So there's a little clip, I don't know if you can see it on there. So on this side here, and then on the other side, it's got that little clip. That's gonna go this way on either side, and then the other piece goes there. Right like that, snap the new one in. Feels a lot better. So that one will slide right off. And up a little bit. Pop it out of there. Get it cleaned up a bit and get another new one put back in there. Again, make sure the little clips, you can see them right here on this side there, and then on the other side, those have to go on the, it'll basically be on the side where the bolt holes are. So if you can see this bracket here, so those little clips will go on the side closest to either of these bolt holes. There we go. New bracket or new bushings in. And we got this guy to clean up. I'm gonna shoot it with some brake parts cleaner and get some more of this gunk off of there. Oh yeah. So now we're back to putting the rod back in. So I had to, I don't know if you can see or not, but this piece up top here, I had to take that off. Be gentle with it. So I had to take that off. That way I could push the window back far enough to get this in there. You can see that hole. So that's where the end of the rod has to go. So you can see the way that I've got my rod tilted in here now. So I'm just gonna have to push it in there, and I'll have to get it lined up with that hole right there. There we go. Now I've got this plate below, this one above. Then the last thing that's going to be left is to get the bolts on top and on bottom. There's marks on everything as to where it was before, and that's what I'm going to use to line everything up. So my windows have been out of adjustment for so long that I'm willing to bet this will be a heck of a difference. Should be noticeable. Before I couldn't even roll my windows up and down without guiding it. So. So you can see I'm sliding it back and forth, and I'm kind of adjusting that nut right there. And try to get it where it was before. That's where those marks come in handy. So you can at least get it close, get it set, see how the window goes up and down, then go from there. Let's see how that looks when we go up and down. Wow. That is smooth. All right, last thing to do. So those are the new bushings. You can see them right in there. So last thing to do is I'm going to put some grease on that, on the window shaft. That way it doesn't wear out those bushings prematurely again. All right, here we go. We'll check and see how it closes. We'll see how close it is. See if we need to adjust it. Looks pretty darn good. Good seal all the way up and around. Last thing for this side is the door panel on, and then over to the next side. Now we're on the passenger side. We're going to do the same thing. First we're going to remove the door panel, and then we will start on the window guide bushings. me see if I can give you guys a good visual on this window. I don't know if you can see that, but see how the window gets cockeyed like that? So now it goes down. See that? And when it comes back up. So this one I actually have to do this to get it to go back up. You can see this guide bushing is just snapped. So that guide bushing right there, you can see it's just cracked right in the middle. And then there's not a lot of grease on this side. So we're gonna go ahead and start disassembling this side. A piece of advice for anybody trying to do this is these rods are a pain in the butt to get out of there, so just be patient, take your time, and don't break your glass. I'm going to take my new bushings, snap these old ones out, like this guy here. That one is just awful. Make sure that you have the little clips on the sides, snap it back in. There's the new one. Same with the bottom one. Snap the old one out. These have got to be some of the easiest pieces, or the cheapest pieces to replace, but they are not very easy to get to. Pain in the butt. We'll make sure that on the sides towards where the bolts are, we have the snaps again. Put them back in. There we go. We'll clean this rod up and then we'll get it installed again. Got it all cleaned up. Now this one had a lot of dried on really nasty grease, so I would make sure that when you're doing this you get all that old nasty stuff off so it's got a nice smooth surface to slide up and down on. Yeah. Alright, so last things last, we're going to grease things up. And I guess what I just wanted to make a mention of is if you line all of these plates back up and the bars and everything, your windows will be the same as they were before, but without broken bushings. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be correct. You might have to adjust these a little bit. Mine came out pretty good so far. Alright guys, so this one I have issues with. So I lined this one up exactly how the other one was. See that? See that gap? You can just tell that it's not right. You can see right here. So that's all the way up. So what I'm gonna have to do is loosen up. I'm gonna have to loosen up those bolts there. The ones on top and the ones on bottom, and I'm going to have to shift the window so it tilts a little bit differently. Alright, there you have it. This one's adjusted now too, so the top plate doesn't adjust as much as the bottom plate. You can probably see I got the top one set, and then I had to tilt the window a little bit more to get this bottom plate where it needed to be, so the pitch of the window was correct. Now I gotta get the door panel back on and call it good. And I need to charge my battery because, well, I'll just say it's getting kind of dead from sitting here. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.